Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up here in New South Wales, Australia. All the products that I'm using today are Stampin' Up products, and you can find all those products on my online store at michelledutrissa.stampinup.net, or you can go to Butterflies and Bows and also find a link there to my online store. Now, the other day on Tuesday, I created this card here, and I showed you very quickly another card which I had created for classes that I'm doing today using the same basic layout. Now, this card has been cased from Patty Bennett, and you will find instructions also for her cards on her blog. So this is my take of her card, and I thought today I would create this since I've just finished one class, and then this afternoon I go straight into another class, and I've got a couple of these kits spare. So I thought today I will show you how I created this card and coloured my image. So let me just pop this to one side and let me grab one of my packs here with everything in it so we can create this card. So what I've got here, let me double check, make sure I've got enough for tonight. Yes, I do. Thank you. So what I've got here is I've got my card base, which is 10.5 centimetres by 29.9 and scored at 14.5. And I'm just going to fold that in half and just burnish my fold line. Now you can use half a sheet. Well, this is equivalent to half a sheet of A4 cardstock. If you're using American size, letter size cardstock, then again you would just cut that in half at 4 1/4 and use the half sheet of that. Hi Nicole, thanks for jumping on. That's great. So what I've also got here is 2 pieces of designer series paper. Now my card the other night, on Tuesday night, I used a piece of designer series paper which was 6 centimetres in width by 14.8. This one is 5 centimetres in width, just a little bit narrower, just trying to get out a bit more out of my paper for my class. So this is 5 centimetres by 14.8, and then I've got an extra strip here of coordinating designer series paper, which is 1.5 centimetres by 14.8, and both these papers come from the 6x6 not in colours. These are the neutrals. Designer series paper at 6x6 in the catalogue. I've also cut out a piece of a circle of cardstock, and by the way, the cardstock I'm using is Basic Beige, and I've cut that out using the dies from, I'll just grab the right one here. No, it's not the Nested Essential dies. Oh, where have I got them? I don't have them here handy, but here's another 2 packs here. Everyday detailed dies, so that's what I'm using here for that. Sorry, as I said, I've just had one class this morning, and I've just had to sort of bring everything back into my craft room so I could do this again. Then I've got another 1/4 sheet of cardstock there in the Basic Beige, which we're going to do some stamping on. So the stamping in this is quite simple. I'm using for this the Layers of Beauty stamp set and die, because we're not doing basically not doing much colouring on this, just doing some colouring using the Stampin' Blends, or the blender pen, I should say. Very careful. There's stamping blends, and then there is a blender pen, and they're 2 different things. The stamping blends come in a range of our colours in packs of 2, and the blender pen comes in a pack of 3, and you can use those with your ink pads, you can use them with your chalks, and this is just another technique where you can use them. And that basically what it's a double-ended pen, and what it allows you to do is pick up the ink and colour with it like you're doing watercolouring. The only thing I do suggest is when you're working on cardstock, don't overwork it, because you could tend to pill your paper, because this paper is not water-based or not able to handle a lot of water. So I've got my stamp here already on my large stamp block. I have also got a foam mat here because this is a photopolymer stamp, and I have got some early espresso ink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up, and I'm taking my stamp pad to my stamp because it is such a big stamp that it is very hard when you're like me and you've got small hands trying to get your hands around this big block. Now, of course, if you've got a repositioning tool, you can use that. So what I'm going to do here is just grab this stamp. It doesn't matter where on this piece of cardstock you stamp it, because we are going to cut this out, and we're just going to position that in the middle of that piece and just stamp that down. Just giving that a really good press to make sure that my ink is well and truly adhered to my cardstock. Lift that up, and there we go. So that's the early espresso ink that I've used there. So now what I'm going to do is take my blender pen, and I'm going to go around basically just the outline edges of the flowers. And what that is doing, and I'll bring this up to the camera in a minute, it is spreading that ink out. So all I'm doing is just making those lines, and let me just bring that up so you can see. So I'm just going around the edges of the flowers. I'm not doing the leaves or anything. I'm just doing the flowers, and I'm just spreading that ink out. Now, of course, you probably could do this with a water painter, but I'd be very careful because you don't need much liquid, and you could pounce that colour out a little bit if you wanted to bring it sort of further into the card. And this is just going to give us a little bit of a monochromatic card. So there's that particular flower done. Hello, Deb, how are you? So it's quite quick. With these daisies, all I'm doing is I'm just going to colour in each of these petals, just pulling that colour from the image out. So I'm just using the ink that I've stamped onto my cardstock. I'm not adding any more to it. I'm not going back to my stamp pad or anything like that. I'm just using what's here. So again, I'm just going to go around these edges and just pull in that colour. You can spread it out a bit more. And you could do this with any colour. So you could have a pink, use a Melamambo ink and do exactly the same thing onto your white cardstock or onto your very vanilla, even onto this basic beige. I love this basic beige because it just really gives you a really nice antique looking card. So all I'm doing is just pulling that colour out, just going around those lines and thickening up. Now my pens are quite old. I'm probably almost in time to buy a new set. As I said, they do come in sets of 3. I can't even tell you now how much they are, because I know that when I bought these, which was quite a few years ago, I think I only paid $21 for a set of 3. So I'm sure they've gone up quite a bit since then. Well, I won't say quite a bit, probably a little bit since then, but they will last a long time because I've had these now probably 5 years or so. Mind you, I don't use them all the time, so I do know that my nibs are starting to get a bit soft on them, but they're still working fine. They're still going through. So I'm just pouncing that colour and just drawing that colour out from that inked area. Cool effect with black ink and this stamp. Yeah, would look quite good with black. Even, you know, like your dark basic grey, any of those colours would look very effective. Okay, so let's just do these little ones here. Just pull that ink. It's just a great way to make a very quick and fun card. So there you are. I've coloured all of that. So let me just bring that up so you can have a look. And really, I've just gone around the outline of those and just brought that colour in a little bit. As I said, you could bring it in a little bit more if you want to give a bit more shading in certain areas, you know, especially where you've got one petal coming in over another one. But there you are. So it's just really just giving a bit more of a highlight just to those. And I'm going to leave the leaves exactly the same they are. Now you could, of course, also use this to pick up more colour. If you wanted to add more colour onto here, you can use the brush to pick up. Let me just quickly show you here. So you could pick up a bit of ink and add more colour to something. I'm not going to add more colour to this because I've got enough on there. And when you're finished with these, what you do is you just brush your nib on your cardstock, and that will just clean that off until it runs clear. And you can now go and use a completely different colour, as long as you clean that nib between each one. Yes, that would look nice with a faux black and white photograph. Yeah, be very effective, Nicole. Hello, Debbie from Houston. Thank you for joining us. That's great. Okay, so now we're going to cut this out. Let me just find my dies. As I said, I've just sort of thrown everything back into here, and they were close by. Let's just grab this and my die is here because I know it's here. I saw it. Haha, here it is. It was hiding on me. Okay, so let's just bring out the cut and emboss machine. And let's just die cut this out. So this is just a really good, quick card to make. Line all that up. And I'll just grab another piece of this just to hold my die on my cardstock. Pop that on top and run through. Now, if you live in the Southern Highlands area here in New South Wales and you're wishing to attend my classes, they're on the second Friday of each month, and I have one at 10:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning and a repeat class at 7:30 on that same night. So, as I said, if you are in the Highlands here and you'd like to come along, you can do. We make roughly 3 cards in a class. So let's just take all of this off. Now I did see one little spot I didn't colour, and that is these little buds here. So I'm just going to redo those. And there's a couple more just over here. Okay. So that's that done. So let's just bring in our pieces here again and let's start putting this card together. So we're just going to add cardstock here on the left-hand side, and as I said, I've cut this at 5 centimetres by 14.9. It's just slightly shy of the length of my card by about 1 mil, and that's just so then I didn't get any hangover. That piece is going to go there. Pop some glue onto there. And I just think this is just a really great little basic layout for any card. And we're just going to, first off, stamp our sentiment onto here. And I'm using the Happy Birthday sentiment from the Friends for Life stamps. I'm just using this Happy Birthday just up here. Hello, Hayley. What glue do you use? I like using the Tombow multi-liquid glue. It's just a really nice glue. It's acid-free. It glues well. A little bit of it goes a long way. But as long as your glue that you use is acid-free, you could use pretty much anything you want. Stampin' Up sell this in, whoops, I was supposed to stamp that first. Okay, we're going to have to try stamping this afterwards. I'm going to pop this around about a centimetre from the top, or a bit more than a centimetre from the top, and about 3/4 of a centimetre from the side. And I should have stamped this first, sorry. You can purchase the glue in our catalogues or on our online store. As I said before, my online store for mine, if you're here in Australia, you can purchase it through michelledutrissa.stampinup.net. It's approximately $10 a bottle. So, and a little bit of it does go a long way. So I'm just going to stamp that on there. Would have been better if I had stamped it before I put it on my card, but that's okay. That's okay, Hayley. My pleasure. Okay, so once we've done that, there's one little bit of this, and I'm actually going to trim away, because when I try to pop that on there, I'm going to cover up some of my birthday. And I've just realised I've even gone and coloured those flowers, but I'm going to cut that away now. So I'm going to cut away this whole branch here, because it's just a little bit in the road. Excuse me, sorry. I've had a niggly cough now for quite a while. And I'm just using my paper snips just to go around, and I'm leaving a little bit of a border. And I'm just going around and following the line of that rose, and I'm going to come back in just on the other side of that leaf there. So I haven't quite detached that, so I can just show you again. So I'm removing this piece here. Okay, so this little leaf here. So I'm just going to, I've trimmed that away except for that little bit right there, and I'm just removing that. And what that's going to enable me to do is when I pop that on my card, it's just going to go around that happy birthday there. I probably could have stamped it just a little bit further that way, but that's okay. I can make that all work just like that. Now, I'm going to pop the lid on that, and I'm going to grab some dimensionals. Now, this is a very quick card. And we're going to pop some dimensionals on here. Just a couple more, maybe one more. Just want to make sure that stays on there. Now, because this is such a quick card and I've got everything all organised and pre-cut for my classes today, I've got another spare card kit here that I thought I'd make another one. So let's just finish this one. So I'm going to pop that one there on there just like that. And then I'm using the Earth Tones Shimmery Gems. And I'm going to add a couple of these. So these come in 4 colours. So you've got like or vanilla, off-white type colour. You've got the garden green. You've got crumb cake, and not quite sure exactly which colour that one is supposed to be, but I'm actually going to use the crumb cake one. And I've got my take a pick tool here, and I'm going to grab one of these big ones, pop it down there. I'm going to pop a little one just up here and another little one just in the middle there. So I'm just adding 3 little gems to that. And that's that card completed. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a mat or a piece inside it, but I just feel that's just a nice quick card to make that doesn't take much time at all. You're from the Philippines. Wonderful. I'm glad you're able to join us. So this is the card, as I said, I made on Tuesday night. Same layout, different stamps, different designer series paper, slightly different measurements in the fact that this piece here is 5 centimetres wide and this one here is 6, but very similar cards and very different. So that's that card. So I thought we'd make another one. So let me just pop these ones to one side. And I have got another one here that I thought we would make. Let me just grab one of my kits for this one. Now this one's using the same stamp set, but we're going to, whoops, just fighting me a little bit to put this back in. So we're going to use the same stamp set but a slightly different technique. So what I have got here for this, I've already pre-cut a lot of this here. So let me just grab all my little bits and pieces out of there. So with this stamp set, which is the Layers of Beauty, you'll also have the dies. So you've got the big die that I used to cut my flowers out before, and then you've got dies here, and we're going to be using this one here to cut out a portion of our bigger flowers, but then you have other dies which cuts out extra leaves. So I've got those extra pieces all in here. So there's a couple of leaves, a couple of different styles of leaves in there, a tag piece. Whoops, just takes a little while just to get all those bits out. So you've got this little one here which cuts this little leaf there. You've got this one here which will cut out that flower. And then this one here which will cut out this little piece there. And I thought there was one that cut out that one. Yes, there is. It's just hidden away in my little bag here. And then you have this one which cuts out this one here. But you also have these extra pieces. So you've got the big one that cuts out the big flower, and I've popped that. That cuts out this big one here. But this one here will cut out just this one rose and the 3 leaves. And then you have all these extra pieces which cut out all of these. So I've used these 2 pieces to cut out 1 large set of leaves and 2 of the smaller leaves. So let me just pop all these away. That way I don't lose them. Let's great having all of this. Now with this particular card, we won't be using this big die. We're just going to be using this smaller one. So let me just pop all that away. I've also got a frame here that I cut from the, so this one here I cut from also from the Everyday Detail dies. Sorry, I just got dies everywhere here because I was using all these for my other cards. Okay, now we're also, that comes with this bundle is, with the Layers of Beauty bundle, is some masks. So we're going to do some masking. And while I think of it, I've also cut and already embossed my Pretty in Pink piece here. And that is from the Fun Pattern embossing folders. Okay, so that comes in a pack of 2, and this is one of the designs from that. So we'll also be using that as well. The sentiment I'm using on this particular card comes from the Heartfelt Hexagon, and I'm using this one here. I hope your day is filled with joy. So let's get stamping with this. So what I've got here, I'm going to pop all these pieces to one side. I have got my card base, which again is half a sheet of A4 cardstock, which is 10.5 centimetres, 29.9, and I've scored it at 14.9. So we can fold that in half and burnish that one. And that is, I'll place that with the other pieces ready to go. This piece here, again, which is half a sheet, it's probably more than what we need. But what I'm going to do with that, I just need to clean this stamp. And I've got my stamp cleaner here, because we don't want early espresso ink on this. We're going to actually use the basic grey for this. So I'm just going to clean that down. So I remove all that ink. And grab my basic grey, and I'm going to stamp this twice. Now I really only need this rose here. There's 3 roses, 1, 2, 3. I need this rose and those 3 leaves. So if I wanted to, I just need to put the ink onto that section. And I'm just going to ink up that part of my stamp. So I've got it there, and I need 2 of these. So I'm just going to do that again. And again, I'm going to turn this around because, again, I just need that same flower, and I'm going to pop that one right there. Just like that. Now, while I've got my ink pad out, I'm going to grab the piece that I'm going to pop my sentiment onto, which is on my basic white. And I've got my sentiment already blocked up, and I'm going to stamp that right there, right in the center, but towards the top on that piece there. So that's all my stamping now done. So let's just clean up those stamps. In that way, there's no chance of me getting ink all over myself. So I'll move that out of the road. Grab this. It's easier to grab this and fold it. Give that a really good clean. Move that out of the road. Okay, so let's just pop all those pieces over there. Grab our piece here. Now I'm just going to, we don't need any of this, so I'm just going to cut this off as excess. And we're going to colour these using our masks. So I've got my masks here. and I'm going to start with mask 1. So all our masks are notched at the top and they've got a number to tell us what number we're at. So I'm going to start with one of these, and I've got to find, I've had to label all these for my class this morning. So I've got my light pink, I have got my dark pink, and I'll grab the others as I need them. So I'm going to just line this up. I'm not going to worry so much about my notches at the moment, because normally I would lay this down and notch out so I know where to match this. But because I'm sort of doing only portion, I'm just going to match up my flowers, and I think that's going to go, there we go, about there. So you sort of do have to think a little bit. I like to match up the daisy centers and my flower, and I've got my couple of daisies down here, so that's quite good. And I'm going to start with my lightest color, which I hope I brought out with me. Yes, I did. Bubble Bath. So I've just got my Bubble Bath ink on that. I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to, whoops, not move that, hold that quite firmly, and add my ink to my mask and cardstock. So just really going in a light circular motion, and I'm only putting down a light layer, and I'm only really worrying about this one flower, because all I'm colouring it and cutting out is that flower and the leaves. So when I've done that one, I'm then going to move over, do the same thing here. I'm just looking for my daisies to match them up, and just takes a little bit of time working this out, but there we go. There's our match there. This one is the easiest layer to match up. The other layers are probably going to be a little bit harder. Thank you, Debbie. Glad you're enjoying this. And then we're just going to colour this one as well. So that's our first layer on that, and later on I will clean that down. Just pop it there for the moment. I'm going to take my layer number 2. So always make sure your 2 is up and your notch is in that right-hand side. But then at least you know which is the right way up. Now again, I match up my daisies. I find it so much easier if I start looking at my daisies and matching up my mask with those. Is that going to work right now? Have I got the wrong daisy? I think I might have the wrong daisy. No. As I said, it's probably going to get a little bit harder for the next one's round. So it is, but I've just got to keep turning these around until I can find the right position. It is a little bit fiddly, and that's why I had the bigger piece of cardstock, because when the girls come to do it in my class tonight for the first time, they will be, there we go, had it the other time. So there we go, I've matched up that little piece in that daisy and that little piece in that daisy. Okay. Again, ink up my brush. I'm using the same colour. Now with this layer here, layer number 2, be very careful. You don't want to get too carried away with brushing this on, because these pieces of your mask are actually quite easy to get caught and be pulled up by your brush. So just really work in small motion movements. because you really don't want to do what I've done and just damage your mask at all, but you can still work with it. And I just work very gently now in that area there, and even just sort of rub straight down or even pounce your brush. And if you pounce your brush a little bit, you might get a little bit different texture too, because all you're doing is the bristles are just going straight down. So there's that one. So there's that part on there. Now we're going to do the second one here. So again, I've got to line up those daisies, and that's that one. There's that one. And I'm just going to pounce this one. Just pushing it straight down rather than rubbing. And that will just give you, whoops, that sort of effect there. So you can see the colour is starting to build up on that. So I'm going to pop that one to one side so I can clean that one. Put my tag back on my brush so I know what colour I'm using. And I'm going to go for a darker for the centre of my flowers. So I've got Pretty in Pink here. And I'm going to grab my mask number 3, and again making sure that my notch is on my right hand side, my 3 is the right way up. And again I'm matching up. You've got a hole, I don't know whether you can see it, you've got a hole there and 2 other holes there. They're the centres of your daisies. So that's what I'm looking at matching on this one here, my daisy centres. So now if I match those, pretty much the rest of it's going to match up fine. Again, I'm just going to pounce this colour in. Just gives you a little bit of more of a speckled. So I don't know whether you can see that. And now I'll do the same on this one. Again, matching up those holes on my daisies. So there's that one matched. That one. Again, I'm just pouncing. You could do a similar effect with a stipple brush, which is a brush with a harder bristle to it, but you'll be very careful on your ink pads because they could damage these ink pads because they're a much harder bristle. So that is those 2. So now we just need to do our leaves. So again, now I've got layer number 4, and I'm just looking for those leaves there, which is this one. Just there like that. And I'm going to start with my lemon lime twist ink for this one. And oops, that's not the right brush. And again, I'm just going to line that up, and then just this time I'm just going around that on a circular motion. Just colour that one. Again, line it up on this one here. Colour that one. for the last one, what I'm going to do is I've got old olive here, and I just want to add some detail into those leaves. So I'm just going to line, oops, make sure I've got the right way up, might help. Line up those pieces there. And I'm going to grab another brush here. Just finding a small brush, which will do. I'll have to use a big one. And I'm not wanting to add too much here, so I'm just going to, again, do a bit of a stipple technique with this one. Just add that bit of colour there. And a bit on that one. So there are those two flowers there. Now I'm just going to cut this in half because now we need to die cut these. So I've got bits and pieces all over the place here, and now I've misplaced what I've done with my die. I wonder if I popped it away. Hold on a second. No, I haven't placed that back in the bag. There it is. It just popped over there. So let me just bring in my cut and emboss machine. Just move these out of the road, sorry. Gets a little bit cluttered here sometimes. That's just the way I work. I'm just going to grab one of those, line that up. Pop the top plate on. So we've just cut one of them. Now we need to cut the other one. I love how you can just cut out a portion of this particular design, though I have in a previous time with the previous card cut the whole thing up because I coloured the whole lot and wanted to use extra flowers and everything in and around, but bring them in tight. So I hope you all are having a lovely day today. I'm sorry I'm not chatting as much as normal, but I do have a sewing client also calling in today who I wouldn't normally have coming, but sometimes you have to bend a little for some people. Okay, so my card base. I have put it somewhere safe right there. So there's my card base folded in half. There's my piece of Pretty in Pink cardstock, which we've embossed, and we're going to glue this straight down onto our card base. And I'm gluing it down on the left-hand side, but I'm not taking it all the way to the edge. This piece here I have cut at, what have I got, 6 centimetres, and it is 14.4 in height. So that leaves me a white edge around those 3 sides and a wider edge on that side. Then going to grab my stamped sentiment piece, and we're going to pop some dimensionals onto the back of that. There they are. And we can adhere this also to our card. So this piece I'm going to add into the middle of our card, but I've got it positioned slightly higher. I have got probably about 4 mil, not quite half a centimetre on this side. So I've just more or less, it's in the middle of the whole card, not just in the Pretty in Pink piece. Okay. I haven't, there we go. I can be a little bit pedantic and I like all those little dots pulled out of there, and I didn't get that one out. There we go, that's now gone. And then we're going to grab these pieces here. We've got our die cut pieces, and we're going to position these on here. So you can position these wherever you wanted them to go. So I'm looking at having one going in that direction and the other one, I want that probably a little bit more going that way. And that about there. Now this one here I'm going to glue directly onto my sentiment, but I'm going to put a dimensional underneath the leaves just so then that leaf is attached. So I'm just popping one there, and I'm only putting glue in the middle because I'm going to be putting my die cut leaves in and around it. So let's take the back off that off there, and that one is going to go round about there. Now you could very easily just leave that at that and say that's done, but I'm going to add this second one, and I want it also coming off, but coming off with my leaves going in a slightly different direction. It's really up to you which way. You could even have the leaves going in that direction if you want. That's quite pretty too. So what I might do is I'm going to add dimensionals on this one, but on this end of my leaf here, I'm going to pop a mini dimensional, but I'm going to double layer that. So I'm going to pop one there, take the backing off it, and then pop another one directly on top of it. And that's because I'm going to put this whole flower up on dimensionals, but I've already got height here. So I'm going to pop a dimensional there. Again, I'm not going too far out to my outer edge because I do want to add extra leaves underneath. So I only want that little leaf there coming off, and I think we want that possibly about there. So that's where we've got the double dimensional, and then we've got single dimensionals there, and that leaves us enough room underneath to slip some of these. Just get rid of that. Dies there. Sorry, just like to keep things a little bit tidy as we go along, just the fact that I'm going to need all of this again. And I'm just going to use my glue here. Just pop these little bits out. And we're going to work out where we want these to go. Now, it's really up to you where you want them to be positioned. I'm going to pop one there, I think. I'm not going to glue the whole lot of this down. All I'm just putting is a bit of glue on the end because I like to have a bit of lift on my cards. And I'm slipping that right underneath, and it's going actually underneath even my sentiment piece, just there. And then I'm going to add one of these there. Oops, probably got a little bit carried away there with the glue, but that's okay. That will dry clear. And then this one here, I'm going to add a bit of glue onto there. And I'm just going to very carefully lift that up and tuck that underneath. Just like that. Now, of course, you could put a lot more underneath that, but that for me, for what I'm doing today, is quite fine. And let me just show you the same card, slightly different layout of my leaves and my flowers and the different looks that you can get. So there they are, my cards for today. Now, of course, you could add a bit of bling to that one, but I decided not to. But I hope you've enjoyed that. Just a quick couple of cards. I mean, it's easy when I've got a card class on because I always have a couple of extra kits made up, ready to go, just in case those inevitable mistakes can happen. So I hope you've enjoyed that today, using the Layers of Beauty stamps and masks and dies. A really fabulous one to use. Hello, Felicity. How are you? Thank you. So again, thank you for joining me. If you're after any of these products, you can get them on my online store, which is at michellejutrissa.stampinup.net, or you can go to Butterflies and Bows and you can find a link there to my store, or even on my Facebook page, you will also find a link in my bio to my store. If you have any questions that I haven't answered today, please just send me a message and I'll be happy to answer those for you if I can. So take care. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much again for joining me today. I do have to run. I do have a customer coming fairly soon, and I've still got to have my lunch as well. So thank you. Take care. Bye for now.